Y'all see that? Okay, perfect. All right, so let's go through this a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit more about what we're going to do today. So I'm so excited for you to be here. Like I said, we're going to talk about contracts and agreements, some key highlights as to how we're addressing it now in our fun environment that we're in with the pandemic, and then some resources to help us. Okay, I think we have, and I'm going to try to do this at the same time with the chat. Okay. So we have a couple new people, so I just want to take 2 seconds just to give a little background as to where I'm coming from when I thought about this group and just try to pull people together. Mom, doula, been in public health for forever. I have dedicated my entire career to women's health and eliminating health disparities and trying to make sure that the women that come across me, whether it's a formal or informal capacity, are living their best life from a complete state of health and wellness, not just from a nutrition standpoint, not just from an illness standpoint, but complete wellness, coming from a public health model and lens, which is your emotional, your financial, your social, your physical, all aspects of your life, contributing to you being as a healthy person. And so I've dedicated my life to do that. And the goal of this group is that everybody absolutely is welcome. It is just a think tank opportunity for us to come share experiences, share ideas as to how we can uplift each other and be, I'm letting people in at the same time, y'all, sorry. How we can uplift each other, how we can share information that if one doula is helpful for one doula, then it's probably helpful for others. And so what I've just committed myself to is to share about this group. Some folks were like, well, how did you get my email? How did you connect with me? I'm like, well, it depends. There's some different organizations that I've reached out to, and I said, hey, we're doing this, and they're like, great idea, and they forwarded the invite to their community. Some have said, here's the email address, reach out to them. If they don't want to join, they don't have to join. It's totally optional. Others have been word of mouth. So different ways. We've gotten a good mix of folks, and I just really am committed to just trying to share the word that we are, a group of us are committed to just being the best students that we can. I do think that we have a special place even now. We're doing things virtually. Some communities are still doing things virtually. Some communities don't have to do it virtually. So it just depends on where you are. But I do want, so in the last 2 months or so, I just really wanted to make sure that I did what I could to help the collective of doulas, just to be able to continue doing what we do. I believe it in my heart that we are special, and we have a special calling to be able to do what we do. And so that's the purpose of the group, and all are welcome. If y'all remember, and I'm gonna stop rambling, if y'all remember last week, I went through this whole thing about how we're gonna be inclusive and we're not the sisterhood chat anymore and all that. And then I'll be darned if all week I updated documents, trainings, all sorts of things to make sure it said community chat. And one of the emails went on and said sisterhood chat. So I apologize for that. It is an inclusive group. I want everybody to be welcome. And we're going forward, we'll make sure to catch all of those typos. So, and I think we have others. Welcome, welcome. We're just really getting started, just sharing a little bit about the group, the purpose of the group. It is for us just to share. And what I did was just put together a couple of slides for us to start talking about as just some basic components of a contract, of a effective contract in the doula space, and then we're opening it up for a discussion. So if you could, in the chat, since it's quite a few of us, I didn't want to use up all of our times doing introductions. In your chat, could you just say your name, where you're from, and the type of doula that you are? I know there's a couple that are aspiring doulas, some haven't. Some are doing their training right now, some are running their certifications. I know last week we had a doula that was, I think she was a doula for almost 30 years. So we have run the gamut, but I just want to know your name, where you're from, and what kind of doula you are, so we can know who we're talking with. This is awesome. So we have folks from all over, so I love that. So I really want that to be out there. So as we're having conversations, you know, use the chat, and then if anybody has any responses to folks, this is how we can connect, by definitely using the chat as well. So awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you, y'all. Thank you. And I'll try to keep that up. So if questions come, we can just put it in the chat and we can go from there. All right, so let's keep going. So want to make a disclaimer, unless anybody on this call, and if you are, let me know, practice an attorney, I'm not. So this is about contracts, but this is just recommendations, observations, experience from me, from some of my clients that I coach, from just in the doula birth worker space. So by no means am I sharing any legal advice, and I'm going to say this on behalf of everybody on the chat, unless you're an attorney, you want to put that out there, you can certainly give us some legal advice, but for anybody that speaks up, I just want to make sure everybody knows that this is not any sort of formal legal advice at all. This is just from experience and what's worked well. So everything is just observation and recommendations. That's what we're putting out there. All right, so let's get into our nitty gritty. Let's get into the chat. So basic components of a effective doula contract. Now these components doesn't mean they're all inclusive and that if you just have these components, you're good. You want to make sure your contract is modified, it works for you, and works for your area and your clientele. But these are just some key pieces you want to make sure that's included. And because of where we are now and what we're facing right now, you may, even if you have these sections already in your contract, you may want to review it and update it if need be. You know, make sure that it's reflective of what you're able to offer now in the environment, for whatever environment you are dealing with. Some are still quarantined, some aren't, so forth. Okay. So scope of practice, very first piece is important. Scope of practice, I always say, including that your philosophy. What do you bring? What is your values? What is your perspective when it comes to being a doula? And clarity as to the role of the doula. A postpartum doula from one place but could be doing something totally different from a postpartum doula in another place. And so what is your role as a doula? Make sure that is clear in your contract. And the services that you offer, a detailed listing of services, which is something that you may not have had to do so much in the past, but for example, in your contract, you don't want to just say postpartum visit, right? Because a postpartum visit for me may look like I am cooking, I may help with laundry, I may bring some groceries when I come, right? Whereas a postpartum visit for somebody else may say, I have nothing to do with other siblings, I'm not doing anything in the kitchen. So you want to not only list the services, but be detailed as to what those services are, so that way it's clear, right? And you can set those expectations. And you possibly want to, depending on what you offer, you possibly want to list what's not in your services. So that way it's not clear. I know some doulas that don't want to do anything with other kids. They only want to work with a mom and a newborn. Totally fine if that's what it is that you do. But again, between your role as a doula and your listing of services, you want to be clear as to what you offer versus what another doula may offer. And certainly offer only what works for you. We talked about 20 ways to being a virtual doula a couple of weeks ago. So if you didn't get that, put it in the chat if you're interested in those materials, because that may be good to review as you think about now what new services you may want to offer or revamping of them and so forth. So scope of practice and your services. And then also, of course, the investment, the fees, right? The fee structure. If you do have multiple packages within this contract, you want to be clear as to what the cost is, what the investment is, and not only that, but what are the requirements around that. So if you have a deposit, if you require 50% before birth, 50% after birth, 100% before the birth, whatever that structure is, you want to be clear in your contract so you don't have any harder conversations down the road. Now, this is one area that I know quite a few doulas are updating now as they're being virtual. They have modified the fee structure. They have modified their prices. They have broken their packages. You know, it used to be like an all-inclusive package. Now they've broken it up into mini packages. So this is something that you may want to consider documenting with your contract, any changes or any enhancements that you're doing now in lieu of being responsive to the pandemic and being virtual. Also, with that, you want to think about the schedule. So when things are due, you know, if you want payment or 2 weeks out before the birth or just right after the birth, whatever that schedule is for their payment, and instructions. Do you do it by invoice, you know, cash, credit cards, whatever the case is? What are the instructions, or how should they remit that payment to you? So all of those should be components in your contract. And I see, I'm just checking the chat. Okay, cool. So we'll definitely get the virtual information out there. All right, so those are just some, and let me know if you have questions on any of that. Moving forward quickly so we can get to our conversation. Activation and accessibility. So what does activation look like for you? Again, we have to be very clear because it can vary depending on doula, right? So what is that activation? Is it, are you activated as soon as they call you and the mom's laboring at home? Are you only activated once you get to the hospital, and are they activated only once they get to the hospital and admitted after they've been checked? Like, what is that activation for you? What does that look like? So you can set those expectations. When you're 24/7, for the birth doulas, the labor doulas, 24/7, what does that look like? When does that start? Does that start 2 weeks out from the due date? Does that start 1 month out? What does that look like for you? And contact information, how they should contact you, when they should contact you. And then a big part, and this is one area that you may want to modify in lieu of where we are right now in the world, the backup and the relief plan. What does that look like? What, if you have any, for example, after 14 hours, I am beat. I know myself, my energy level goes low. I need like a break, not like a break to the restroom to wash my face, but I need fresh air. I need to just regroup after 14 hours. And so I have a relief doula, backup doulas that I use. I have it set up where I have 2 every month that are backup for me. So the first 2 weeks of the month, say it's Sarah. The 3rd and 4th weeks of the month, you know, it can be Susan. And so every month I know if I have a birth that goes over 14 hours, I know I have somebody I can call on to help me so I can give my best to that mom. Around that though, you definitely want to be sensitive, because the last thing that you want to do in the middle of a birth is to, you know, a mom feel like she's abandoned, especially if it's a complicated birth or a long birth. You want to make sure that she doesn't feel abandoned. So there's 3 things that I do when it comes to backup, and some of it's documented in the contract, others are documented in the welcome package. The first thing is in their welcome package, the physical hardcover, you know, welcome package that they'll get. It has the backup doula's information in there, a picture of her, you know, snap a headshot of her, her resume, as well as her contact information. So from day one, they know in the event that it's going to be past 14 hours, this is a person that you're going to be seeing, right? This is a person that can be helping, or an emergency, this is a backup person. So it's kind of a warm transfer. Soft transfer is not just a stranger walking into the room while I'm walking out the door, you know. So but all that's detailed in the contract. Second thing I do is I have a portal that all the moms or families can access when they contract with me. And if you don't even have that, you can just do it as a welcome email. But that welcome email also has contact information of the backup person, and it has a video. It's like 2 minutes and a couple seconds, so it's a 3-minute video, and it's, you know, Susan saying, "Hi, I'm Susan. I've been a doula for this number of years. I am Bianca's backup. I'll be so happy to help you in the event that I need to." And again, it's just a way for them to know who their backup is, and they don't feel funny per se if they need to be my relief backup. And the third thing is, again, my time frame is 14 hours. Some doulas I know it's 12 hours, some it's 18 hours, some don't have any sort of hours, whatever works for you. But if you have one, put it in your contract. So after that, so around that 13th hour, my backup person, my relief person is already there. And so it's at least 45 minutes to an hour where we're both are there tag teaming. So again, the mom doesn't feel like I just ran out the door. So those are sorts of things that I do, the backup, and it's detailed in the contract. So whatever works for you, just want to make sure you put that in there. And emergencies happen all the time. Distance, mileage, time frame from the time you're activated or they reach out to you. If they're within if some doulas are travel doulas, so I'm talking to the whole range here. If the mom or the family is within 50 miles of you, your time frame may be an hour getting to them. Or if it's 100 miles from you, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, just being very clear of that. And it may be certain mileage, 20-mile radius, whatever the case is, you want to put that in there. So again, you're setting those expectations. Expectations for arrival. If you are a person that it takes on a good day an hour to get ready, shower, get dressed, get out the door, then you want to say an hour and a half maybe will be your expectations you put out there. You just want to, whatever you put in here, you want to be very clear about it, to make sure they understand it, and you want to make sure that you can honor it. That's really the essential part of that. And however you word it, doesn't have to be paragraphs, doesn't have to be very lengthy. These things can be addressed in 2 or 3 lines. Vacation also. Something when I first started being a doula, I didn't put in there, but now I do. I go vacation and travel. I want to put that in there because what if you're gone, right? The mom may go into labor. Like my daughter came almost 6 weeks early. That wasn't my 2-week window. And so, if you're out of town, what do you do? If you're out of town, how can they communicate with you? You're on vacation, you're away for a holiday. So what can they expect for you to do as their doula if you're not in the town? So again, we're talking twofold. We're talking pandemic with some of these things, but some of these things we're just talking in normal, how you should set up your contract or recommendations for contract going forward in a quote unquote normal world. So those are just things about the activation and accessibility. Terms and conditions. So this kind of goes along with the accessibility, but just being very clear as to with your contract, how it can be modified, what parts can be modified. Definitely now, what parts, or when can it be terminated, how it can be terminated, what reasons can the contract be terminated for, and they get 100% of their money back. Versus what reasons can the contract be terminated for and they only get 20% of their money back. Whatever that structure looks like for you, and timing. So, a mom canceling a contract on you 6 months out, you probably haven't done that much, right, with her, versus a mom who may say, I want to terminate the contract 2 days before delivery. You've been working with her before, you've probably done some birth cards, like whatever the case. So you want to just be clear so everybody knows what are those terms and conditions, and refund policy, what's refundable, what's not refundable, time frame for things are refundable, time frame for when their money will get back to their account, depending on the bank. Those are the types of things you want to think of. And the negotiation option, or probably a better way of saying is renegotiation. A lot of doulas right now have had discussions. I know a couple have said that moms who reached out and says, I just don't think I need a postpartum doula anymore, even if it's virtual. Have that conversation with, because sometimes they're thinking of traditional things and you can probably still help them. So have that conversation with them, and it may be a matter of renegotiating or just updating the contract by just putting an addendum to the end of the contract to say, due to the pandemic, these are things that we're going to modify, or this is how we provide the service that you're looking for in this new way. So those are terms and conditions and official processes. So I would say put things in writing, especially if it is connected to refunds. For example, if they say, want to update the contract or want to change this part of the contract or terminate their contract, then ask them to put it in writing. If they don't, you can just follow up in writing via email or whatever the case is. It says, per our conversation on such and such date, you requested the contract to change this way or that way, or you requested that we modify the contract, and this is the outcome of that request. Just being clear so everybody understands it. So those are just terms and conditions. This last one is the one that I think we probably will have to revisit more because of the pandemic. And this is, again, from conversations with many, many doulas. Unforeseen circumstances. I think some of us may have not had this area in our contracts before. In the Maryland, Virginia, Maine, New York area, inclement weather certainly is something that part of life, depending on the season. So what happens during inclement weather or a natural disaster, right? I think there was an earthquake this morning in the West Coast. So whatever the case is, like, what is it that you as a doula can do in that time? if the county's closed, if the city's closed because of a snowstorm or blizzard, and your mom goes into labor at home, what does that do for you? Like, what can you offer? What's the expectations you want to set? Your normal time for arrival or activation may be an hour. During inclement weather, you know, it's 30-minute drive in a snowstorm may take 2 hours. So if you're still going, so what does that look like, and what expectations? You want to make sure you include that in, especially now in the pandemic. There's a whole lot of different things we probably didn't think about before. You want to make sure you include that in there, as well as emergencies, and how are you going to communicate during that time. I always have a second person in their family. So with my moms, I always say, who else in your family would you mind me contacting in the event of an emergency? If I can't get you, you know, you're on your way to the hospital, and God forbid, you know, I have a car accident or something, who can I reach out to that I know can get the message to you when you are in a better, you know, easier state to contact? So those are the types of things that you want to make sure you are clear with, not only in your contract, but have those types of conversations beforehand, so the contract just seals the outcome of your conversation with them, and they understand that, as well as the role of the backup. So those are just, again, some key basic components of your contract. You probably want to have more than this in a contract, but these are just things that you want to make sure definitely are there, and areas that you want to consider you may need to review and revise due to the pandemic. And it may be that you have a pandemic contract and a regular normal day contract, or it may be a mix of it. So whatever works for you. I think we have a couple things going on in the chat. Let me just check. Okay, quite a few things going on in the chat. Okay, so let me scroll up. Yep, definitely can send you some of the virtual things. Virtual information, yeah, definitely continue. Poppy, yeah, you said you did an addendum. Yep, that's a great way to do it. So you don't have to revise necessarily the whole contract, but definitely doing an addendum. Oh, that's good. You can do postpartum support. So yeah, that's definitely a good option. Ariana, you said you have recommendations on how to find a backup doula. Lots of ways to find a backup doula. Communities, just like this. If you connect with somebody, you see somebody that's from your area, you may want to reach out with them offline and talk to them. Different organizations in your area, not only doulas, but birth worker organizations. You can get good referrals that way. For example, I do a monthly meetup for moms, and then I also do one now for doulas and in my area, and it's a great networking event. You get to know folks, and then you just build a relationship with them, and you can reach out to them that way. Also, there's we're launching in June, the birth worker, the blooming birth worker community, and that is an area where I'm building into that community backup structure, as well as jobs in different areas. And so I know that's a big thing for me, is to make sure that you have a backup that's dependable, that's accessible, and somebody that you can trust, and you know has a similar philosophy to you, and you know can sleep well knowing that their backup is going to cover their client well for you. So that's something we're building into the community. There is going to be a network, jobs as well as backup opportunities. So there's tons of ways, but just get to know other doulas in your community, in your area. Your backup for, Karen, you say you're backup for 2 doulas? Yeah, you want to be more than one. Yep, and reciprocate. That's exactly how I do it. So my backups that I have in a month, you know, again, week 1, week 2, I know exactly who I'm going to reach out to, and she's prepared, and I'm also her backup. That's the way you do it. Yeah, Karen, it takes a while, you know, to find one, and you want to make sure you have more than one, because you never know what's going on. You're always going to need a backup. One day you're going to be sick. One day you're going to be sick. You're not going to be able to get to that birth, or you're going to be out of town, or your kid's going to have something. So you never know. Yeah, Kelly, you're exactly right. Get to know and build the relationships. Yep. Junko, yeah, backup profile. Tasha, yeah, Tasha, you're in the DMV area, so we definitely can work on that. You definitely want to make sure you have backups. I think you're going to build your own contract. Yeah, and you sometimes that's actually a good point for your backups. We didn't go into the detail, but yeah, you for your agreement with your backups, you probably want to put that in writing, just so everybody is clear, especially if you have more than one. You want to put that in writing, maybe dates, the fee structure, so forth. You want to definitely do that. We trade backups for each other. Sometimes it's paid. Yeah, I definitely always believe in your backup should be paid. Latia, you say, I have a question about postpartum situations. All right, when we get to questions, Latia, let's chat about it. Call it out and we can talk about it. Do you all count text message as in writing? Yeah, well, again, it's not legal advice, but I'm gonna tell you what my attorney said, told me, yes. So it didn't come from me, it came from my attorney. But yeah, anything in writing, text messages can hold up in court and things like that, so they are considered. I like to do email just because it's more detailed and not choppy, but yeah, text messages can count. If you get a text message, you can always follow up via email, or a letter to them saying, for the text message you sent me on such and such date, just like a conversation, a phone conversation. You can certainly follow that up. Karen, yep, you're absolutely right. You can print them out. They do count. Text messages. Rachel, yeah, and Rachel, you're a paralegal, right? You had a background in paralegal, so Rachel
Yes,
knows.
I was a paralegal, so I'm, again, not an attorney practicing law, but they are admissible in court.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thanks, Rachel. And that's so cool, Doulas. We have so many coming from different walks of life and different backgrounds, and that helps us so much in our practice. Yeah. Oh yeah, a good idea is for those that you go to training with, even if you already have gone through your doula training. If you have gone through your doula training, definitely make sure to connect with anybody. You know, as you go through the training, you get to vibe with people and to connect with them. Certainly continue that relationship if you can. And as you go through new training courses, if you connect with a doula that you really vibe with well, then they can follow up with them. And now, especially since we are doing so many things virtual, there's more opportunity to find other doulas that may not be in your immediate area, but are close to you. For example, the Maryland, DC, Virginia area where I am, I don't mind. I'll go an hour easily, or more, depending on the situation. So, your network can certainly expand due to this time. Yeah, Morgan. So, okay. Hey, hit Morgan up. She says, she's in the Bay Area. She's open to being a backup. Yes, Tasha. Yes. Love it. Elisa, yeah, I can definitely email the chat out. Yep. Oh, Wendy says you can save the chat. Okay, Wendy's teaching us, so there's a way to save the chat, Wendy says. Okay, so let's keep going, and then we can talk a little bit more. So again, we are talking both sides for a pandemic environment and what should be in your contract, but then on a normal day, just want to make sure that you revise your contract, review it, and then revise it so that you're positioned so there's no loopholes and you're clear and your clients are clear, and you're positioned for whatever this new norm is, what that looks like for you and your community and your clients. Okay, so a couple questions as you are looking at your contract that you may want to consider and think about are your packages. So you've already had your package, already had your services pre-pandemic and things, but is it the right mix? Do you need to consolidate packages? Do you need to change some things in your packages? Collaboration is another option. Before, did you collaborate with other doulas in your area that may have a different specialty? Or other birth workers or lactation consultant? You may not do breastfeeding. That may not be your sweet spot with teaching or lactation. So is there somebody that you can partner with, and then maybe that's a new package that you offer? So again, collaborate with those that are in your area. Diversifying your services. There are some services that you may have not offered before that you may want to offer now, especially in a virtual world. I know quite a few that are doing more nursery setups, because that's something you can do virtually. There's a service, a couple of doulas didn't offer that before, but they offer it now. You can do that. You can do a hospital bag check-ins. You can do all sorts of things virtually. So just look at your packages, look at your services and see what can you do differently. And there's tons of ideas between these chats and conversations and more. A variable package, this is something that I offer, and I'll explain it a little bit more. So it's kind of a bonus package. And this really addresses the deposit question, and it addresses the relief doula. I know there's quite a few doulas that just don't feel comfortable with saying at a certain hour, you know, so their contract may be up to 14 hours. For example, my case, 14 hours. So at that 15 hour, 16 hour is going to cost more, right? But there's a lot of us that aren't comfortable with telling that mom that just had the baby or just getting home, you know, hey, you know, knocking on the door, I need some more money to continue working with you postpartum. So to alleviate all of that, I do a bonus coin package. And it's a requirement for all of my clients. And it's a bonus point because if we don't need it, I give it back to them. So I would say, so mine is $400 just off the top. That works for my area. So think about what works for your area. But it can be used different ways. For example, it automatically, if I need to have a relief doula, it covers my relief doula automatically. So they understand that it's built in. I don't have to go back in the event that I need the relief doula. I don't have to go back and follow up for more money. I just don't like to have that conversation. So it's covered in the front. If that's not the situation, we don't need it. It can be used for anything else out of my services that the mom or the family wants to use. For example, if I was only going to do 2 postpartum visits, if the mom or the family says, you know, I need you every week for a month, or I need you for 2 months, then that bonus package, that funds can be applied to that. They don't have to think about coming up with the money for that. I've had a case where baby has come early and the mom looks at me and was like, my going home outfit doesn't fit my baby. My baby is very small, preemie. Okay, so you think about parties and baby showers, you don't really get preemie clothes, right? You're gonna get preemie diapers. And so that's a need that the mom wanted to address. And so instead of saying, okay, give me some money or we'll figure that out, then I automatically use the funds in the bonus coin package. You got preemie diapers. So when they got home, they had, sets of clothes, onesies for the baby, diapers and things like that. So it was already taken care of. I've had some moms that the baby came early and they didn't have a car seat yet. I picked up their car seat using the money in their bonus coin. So it's a way to help whatever needs that the moms maybe didn't think of or didn't think that they need, as well as helps cover me if I do need to have a relief doula. So it's taken care of, it's on the front end. If we don't need it, goes right back to them. And in my contract, it says if you don't use it within that first 2 weeks, or you haven't identified the need for those first 2 weeks for it, then within 72 hours after that 2 weeks, it goes right back to their account. That's what I do. It takes a big load off of the moms. I've done it for groceries. I've done it for all sorts of things. And so it's up to you to figure out if you want to offer that. I know a lot of doulas right now in the pandemic are offering that kind of open-ended package for depending on what needs are identified to make sure that that's covered. So that works for me. It's a bonus point package. Certainly modify if that works for you. Risk management, really, especially in this time frame, is just kind of what's your plan A, what's your plan B, what's your plan C. We may have not had to think about it so much in that terms before, but you want to make sure you address those unknowns and what that looks like for you, as well as just have that clear expectations and effective communication. So what is your communication process? What are their options for your client to get to you? And what is, the time frame, everything around the communication. Just want to make sure that's clear. That's the whole point of the contract, right? To be clear, both parties understand what's your expectations and then the expectations for them. Now with the virtual world, the virtual contracts, I even put in what I expect for my mom to have. So I need her to have an iPad. I need to have her charger. I need her to be able to receive my virtual services. And so that's all clear also. Let's see. I think we have a couple of people that are chatting. Do we have questions or comments? Let's see. And we're getting to discussion. So everybody's muted, so I'm not going to unmute everybody, but if there's something in particular that you need to call out, feel free to do that while I try to get to the questions. And just quickly, some resources. especially contract templates. I mean, you can Google, right? You can get some different contracts. You can get your contracts from your training organization, especially any updates. Your training organization should have that. I know like Donna and some others even have it available on the website. So contract software, there's tons of them. There's some that are paid and then there's tons that are free. A couple of them that I know of that I have used that I like. Signable, Panda Doc, Concord. So that's again where you can just email the contract out and can receive it back. Many of them have options where your client can put in comments or edit requests. So then you can go back and forth and make sure you're good on the contract invoice. I know I use like Wave, Brightbook, and there's tons of others out there. So my point is you don't have to do it from scratch. If you want to go to this route where you formalize and make sure you're contracting and email it out, or invoices, email it out, you don't have to do it from scratch. Law Depot is just a website, has tons of templates for everything, from a will to agreements, everything. So if you're looking for one, that's maybe an option for you also. Again, we didn't provide any legal advice, but you make sure you want to run your contract by some attorney, some local attorney, somebody in your area, somebody that knows your services, knows what you're doing. Recommend that you run your contract by you. If you don't have one or it is cost inhibited, Legal Shield, LegalZoom, or Ways, wherever you are, any state, any county, whatever, you can certainly reach out to them and they do reviews as well. This is probably the least sexy part of being a doula, is the whole business part, entrepreneur part, right? But it is necessary, right? You got to get paid. You need to have clear agreements. And so there is an upcoming course on Sunday. If you're interested, it's the Doula Practice Business course I'm offering, where we go into more of the nitty-gritty things such as this to make sure that you can have a sustainable and successful doula practice. If you're interested in that, just send me an email or put it in the chat. I can reach out to you. Also, in the birth worker community, there's still an option to become a founding member if you're interested in that before June 1st, because that's when it's going to be launched. If you're interested in being a founding member, you can. And in there, we'll have templates as well as we will have experts in different areas. And so we will have attorneys that will do a master class for us. Each month is different themes. So, for example, around this, we have an attorney that will be doing a master class that will go into more details about contracts and doing things on the fly, as well as even doing reviews of your contracts if that's what you were looking for. So there's tons of resources. The point is that there's tons of resources. Just want to make sure that you have a good standing and clear with your contracts, for not only for you, but to protect yourself and to make sure that you can focus on what we want to do as doulas, right? We want to help moms. We want to help our community. That's what our focus should be on. So setting these things up and letting them make sure that they are set up well so they can go and flourish where you do what you do with your moms. So with that, let's open it up. Let's chat. Are there anything that we didn't touch upon that you think is important as a doula that should be in your contract? Share that with us. Are there any resources that are good? Share that with us. This is totally open. This is our chat, but I just like to set it up a little bit with making sure that we have some basic understanding.
Okay, so I have a question.
Who's that? Hey, Lucia. Hi.
Hi, it's Latia. Okay, so the question I had earlier about the postpartum doula thing, because of the pandemic, we're not doing like shifts or anything for the most part, as far as I understand, right? So because of that, and how I'm kind of like veering my business, and my goal overall is to like have an agency at some point. Mm-hmm. But what I was wondering is if we can, as postpartum, if we're being postpartum doulas, set it up where we're offering like coaching sessions where, bless you, the families have to figure out how to do things on their own with their baby, but
absolutely.
But so as a postpartum doula, even after this, is that something that can just be like, if that's your norm, like that's what works for you, just coaching during, like, as a postpartum doula, not so much taking shifts?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are so many that are doing shifts, and they're doing it a little bit differently. Some are doing night chats. Some are doing night duty on call, so they know they've set up with their package with their clients that between midnight and 5 o'clock in the morning, their mom can call them, can text them, and they're going to be responsive. So it's just looking a little bit different, quote unquote, shifts. So those are just some options. But yeah, absolutely. If you want to do the postpartum, especially you want to move towards having an agency, definitely you can set it up where you can do coaching on different topics. If you are a really good sleep consultant, you go and get your training and you do that, you can be a sleep specialist, and that can be what you coach on. That's something that's maybe not needed immediate, but that's something long term you can certainly offer 3 months in, 6 months in, and so forth. And any kind of topic. It can be nutrition you can do coaching on, helping moms get the right foods, get easy recipes, do cooking sessions with them. It really is, the sky is the limit. It's really what works for you. So you're in a good position if you want to do that. You definitely can do that, Lucia. Definitely. And that's something now and in the future in our quote unquote norm whenever we get to that. Absolutely. There's tons of options.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I know that there's a big thing about postpartum doulas being actually physically there, taking the shifts and stuff like that. And I was like, well,
that's not our world anymore.
That's not my, but I mean, even that overall, it's not really my MO to work overnight. I do have my own family, so I get that there are times when that's needed, and I get that there are some of the other doulas who have no problem with that, and that's one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, agency sounds better, because then I can contract with other doulas, and if that's something that is their thing, I'm not keeping them from that, but my business does offer it. You know what I'm saying? But I
definitely
stick to the coaching side, like, personally.
No, definitely. And this is great as a reminder that so every doula's practice is different. You set it up but what works for you. You know, I have a 2-year-old, so I do postpartum, but it's very limited, and I do a lot of postpartum services that are not in person. And this was pre-pandemic for the very same, similar situation that you described. So you can definitely set it up however you want. I know some postpartums that don't do overnight. It's not necessary. So whatever works for you, certainly. That's one of the beauties of being a doula, is that there's so many different needs, so many ways that we can help moms out, that whatever works for you, that's what you offer. Yeah, definitely. Any other questions folks want to call out? I see some topics coming in the chat. So yeah, Kelly says she's been in postpartum since 2015 and don't do overnight. Yeah, definitely question. Definitely option. Hey, Angelica, you're saying something?
Yeah, so I was just a little bit confused with the variable pricing. Is that like an additional pricing on top of the package? So like the package is your services and then the variable is like the buffer?
Yeah, so it looks different ways, but the way that I do it is you can consider it kind of like a deposit. So the package is $800 or a package of $1,000, then they are paying me $1,400 off the top, and it's just built in. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a built-in fee structure where it's not optional. But I'm very clear in my contract that it's delineated, demarked as to exactly what is the variable package price and what it includes, because if it's refunded back to them, I want them to know exactly what's coming back to them. Or if it's going to be used in different ways, I want to know exactly what that total is and those options for being used separately. But it's in the fee structure, so it's not an option.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Kelly, another idea is certainly, and Latia, you want to go towards doing the agency in the future, partnering, collaborating, and that's one of the things with building your network is figuring out who in your network is good for overnights. So you can certainly use them. Okay, 5 minutes, so I'm going to honor our time. Go ahead, somebody's saying something?
I just wanted to say, thank you, first of all, Bianca, for hosting this so much, and then all you beautiful, amazing people for being here and learning and growing. And I'll say that the coronavirus pandemic has changed my practice in the sense that I know we have all had our clients say at the end of their birth, I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh yeah.
For me, that always broke my heart, because my response is always of course you could have, right? Yes, you could have. My job is to inform and educate and empower you to feel like God damn, yeah, I could have done it by myself, right? And I always kind of like, okay, feels good on my ego, but really at the end of the day, I want them to feel like they could have done it on their own. And so I started to notice that when I wasn't allowed to be in hospitals, I was getting a lot of anxious moms. I was getting a lot of, I can't do this without you. This is, no, I'm going to switch to home birth so you can be with me. And it was like, whoa, right? And it really changed my practice in the sense that, what am I doing in person that is giving them this feeling of not taking control or empowerment or decision making or informed consent, informed refusal, or safety in their own birth. And so it really, I may even like stay doing this forever in the sense of my prenatal education has increased and my hands-on in-person attendance has decreased. And I'm experiencing so many more moms just saying, I did this because I had education and I was successful because I did it. I advocated for myself. Right? And so while I might go back, right, et cetera, I will just say for any of you who are experiencing change in your practice, it is going to benefit women right now. And as much as it's frustrating that we're not able to be in hospitals, if you're using it right, we're going to see a huge change in women's empowerment in their own birthing experiences.
By the nature of just our world, right? And that's literally the whole point of this community, the whole point of bringing us together is that we have to be responsive to our world, and there's a way to do it. Because I talked to some doulas, and first they're like, well, it's not going to work because we can't be there. And I'm like, what? No, there's so many things we can do. Like, this is, I want everybody to have the hope and the knowledge and whatever resources they need in order to connect it, so they can know that whether we're there in person or not, we are there as their support system. And there's tons of ways to do it. And the best way to do it is the best way that works for you and it works for your client. So one way that works for me may not work for Leah. One way that works for me may not work for Angelica. One way that works for me may not work for, Ariana or Stephanie or something. So really figuring out that there's, just wanted to provide an opportunity, a platform where we can see a suite of options and services and then use that, figure out what works for you. And it may be, like you say, Leah, maybe more education beforehand, and maybe more types of classes that you offer beforehand, or whatever the case is. Like, it's totally optional, totally options out here. So it is empowering. Oh, thank you, Morgan. Thank you. Yeah, let me know if this is helpful, and let me know if there's other topics that we want to talk about. Next week, we're supposed to be talking about interviews, virtual interviews. How do you onboard new clients in this virtual space, and what type of materials, information should you share with them? So we kind of built up over last couple of weeks, just a series. We talked about virtual options, what can be services. Then we talked about training. What training do we need that we can use to help us be able to support virtually? Talked about marketing, and then we talked about contracts. So we're moving over to the interviews. So awesome. Yeah, if there's any other ideas, put them in the chat and I'll get to them and we can figure out what we need to add to it. Hey, Juju. Hi. Okay, so a couple questions. So the materials I email out afterwards, definitely for anybody that wants it. The video itself is in the community chat though, because it's a lot of space. I'm seeing over here, Khadijah, oh great, you want to be back up in the DC area and vice versa? Yeah, so Khadijah, I'll add you to the DMV meetup that I have, and then certainly you can share that message out to those there. The chat, you can email it out. People wanting to connect, love it, love it. All right, so it's 1 o'clock on the dot. I'm happy to stay here and chat all day, but I want to honor folks' time. So Angelica, oh, I see there. Angelica, did I answer your question about the variable package enough? Did you have?
Yeah, that makes sense. I have only started doing this since September. I got trained in September through DONA, and then I didn't even start doing anything until like January as far as like contracts goes and stuff. So I'm like, I've only done one package and that's like all I offer, but now I'm thinking that maybe I should work on several packages options.
Yeah. And let me know if you need any help with that. So that's some of the things that we're going to be talking about on Sunday. So if anybody's interested in that class, certainly reach out to me. But let me know just as a one-off. We can talk about that if you need some help with thinking about what you need to put in your packages.
Thank you.
Sure. Poppy had to go. Okay. Jody, yeah, I was sending out the. Okay. So is there anyone have any burning questions that we need to address now before we hop off? We want to make sure.
I want to ask a question. Mute me.
Hi.
Hi.
We hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I
Great.
am.
I have a couple questions. I have been working with children and babies for over 20 years. Only a doula for about 7. And generally based in South Florida, but I travel all over the world. Just to give you a little background, COVID has totally changed everything. I have tried different methods of what I do in my career on the computer virtually. It is not easy, not gonna lie. It's definitely a learning process and a learning curve.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a hands-on person. So there's a couple things I have questions about. For instance, I'm actually in Virginia now because I actually had found someone who would allow me in their house.
Oh, what part? You know,
this is Annandale.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they have 3 kids that I'm working with. I'm also a behavioral specialist. So and working parents, which are very few now, have a really difficult time keeping what they need to in the house.
Oh, yeah.
I have a 6-page contract that a lawyer created for me. I don't know how to revise it for this pandemic. I have no idea how to make it seem whether, like, because I had a virtual package that nobody was ever interested in. They only wanted me in the house. Yeah. So is there, I guess I don't know if there's a way to do I need a new contract? I don't know how to do this.
So no legal advice, but I'm gonna tell you what I would hear from my attorneys again. So it depends, and I hate when I get that answer from people, but it really does depend. So within those 6 pages, does it clearly outline the packages and the services that you're able to offer in the virtual world right now?
There was only like a tiny clause about the virtual world because no one ever wanted it. But yes, there is something in there about the virtual world, just not to this extent. So
I would start with that. I would start with updating that section and then letting it flow. So if you update that section, then what does it mean for any backup? You update that section, what does it mean for any fees or processes? I would start there. People may have not been interested before, but our world is different now. So people are seeing needs differently. I would start there and then figure out what the rippling effects or what other parts of your contracts you may want to update based on that. Because you may not need a totally separate one, because again, as we were saying with Leela, going back to our quote unquote norm may not be the norm. Our new norm may be people really are understanding that the virtual piece can work. And so that may be your new normal contract. But I would start with there.
And with that, I questioned, you guys are changing your pay rates based on the fact that you can't physically be there? Because I feel that I should discount my clients that I can't physically be there to do all the things that I can do.
Woo!
There's so much to do through a screen.
Yeah, so this is one of my topics I can get on here on my little soapbox, but I won't. But I love having this conversation because you're not, so my part is no. And I offer more options, but I never discount it because even though you're not there physically, you are still providing value, right? And you're providing in a different way. So don't discount your expertise. Don't discount your knowledge. Don't discount your accessibility. So I never discount. I offer more options. So example, my, let's say, silver, gold, platinum package may have been 20 hours, 10 hours, 5 hours. Now I may offer just a 2-hour package or something differently so that if it's not necessary or there's, some people aren't working right now. So more options can allow them to figure out where they can fit in it, but I don't discount it because I think if you put that mindset out there that you're discounting your services and you're discounting what you're offering, you're not, you're just offering it a different way.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. That actually helps me out a lot.
Yeah, sure. Reach out to me. We need to talk more, certainly.
Definitely need to talk some more.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any quick question that we definitely need to address before we hop off? And I can stay, but again, I'm just trying to honor folks that need to hop off. If you need to hop off, send me a message in the chat. Let me know if there's anything we need to follow up with you on, and then certainly feel free to hop off. But oh, Alyssa, so you say what's the founding members? So this on Friday is our chat. Totally open, all come, one come, all come, totally inclusive, totally available to everybody, right? This is try on a normal day, try to keep it within an hour, right? 12 to 1. But we run over because we heard great people, we got a lot to talk about, right? So in the Blooming Birth Worker community, that is an online subscription-based community that's being launched in June by me and my group. And so if you sign up for that community prior to June 1st, you'll be considered a founding member, and you're locked into the monthly subscription rate of $33. After June 1st, folks can certainly join, but they won't be a founding member, so they don't get the VIP perks as well as they don't get that price point. So that I can tell information about what all is included in that community, but again, that's going to be a job portal, backup network system. We have master classes, we have trainings, as well as like articles, the latest and greatest information as to recommendations on breastfeeding, recommendations from Public Health Association all over. So it is a go-to everything that you need as a quick doula. I know I've had my many nights where I've been at a client 2 o'clock in the morning and something happens and I'm like, I need to talk to somebody really quick. I need to get some information really quick. So that's what this portal is for, where you can have at your fingertip some key information. That's the membership. All right, anyone, let me see if there's any other questions, and let me know, call out if y'all have any questions.
Thank you for making your payment also.
I have a question.
I think somebody.
I do.
Hey, I hear 2 voices, so I'm trying to see if I can mute everybody, and then you can talk.
It's actually my phone.
Oh, okay.
It's because my phone.
Okay.
I'm trying to do two phone calls at once. How do I start building my virtual clients? Like, because I haven't made more virtual clients yet. I've only had like 1, and I don't know how to like increase that volume of virtue.
Yeah, so do you already have clients that you want to transition to maintaining them and having to switch to virtual, or are you really asking about marketing, just getting new clients, period, in this virtual? Marketing. Okay, yes. Yeah, so we need to have a side conversation, or, but, because we, and put in the chat so I can make sure I follow with you some of the materials when we had our marketing chat. But in a nutshell, certainly happy to talk about it. You want to make sure that you know what's available in your area. Where are you? What state and city?
What'd you say? I'm so sorry.
What area? Where are you? Where are you located?
Fresno, California.
Okay, so you're in California. So cool. So find out what's in your area. It's a little bit different, but find out what's in your area as in organizations that you may partner up with. There's some ways that folks market where they are the sole doula or referral doula for midwife practice. You can do it that way. You can find out local pediatricians that they're also awesome with also referring out clients. You just want to talk to them, pitch your services. You can pitch a partnership, a collaboration, and you can go from there. You can do a meetup. This is what I did, and it was affordable. I think it was like $20 a month or something to have, meetup.com. I have a meetup where moms in the area join the meetup, and every month we have a theme. We talk about whether it's the nursery, we talk about breastfeeding, we talk about going back to work, we talk about maternity leave, whatever the case is. So every month we have a meetup and we talk, and they come, and it is free. Well, it's free for them. We meet like at that time we meet at a Starbucks, Panera Bread, wherever, somewhere easy to get to, very low cost and accessible. And that is a way that when they come over time, they get to know you, and a lot of them became my clients. And as they drop off protocol and they have their babies, but they still refer and say, hey, I had this great meetup I went to, and then the girlfriend's become pregnant, then they send them to the meetup. So just different things like that. You want to do to have within your business. Okay, this goes into what I'm talking about. We need to, as a doulist, we need to make sure we're clear and we have a sustainable and a successful structure for our business to always have the entry point of new clients coming. And so one of the ways of setting up like a meetup or a mom's group or partnering with a midwife or partnering with somebody else in the birth worker world is a great way to have entry point for moms. Or you may want to do something as simple as social media. And then you want to make sure you're clear as to which platform works for you in your area, which platform meets the moms that you are looking for. Because as I believe as a doula, every mom is not your client. You want to know which clients are your clients. Do you like to work with teen moms? Do you like to work with older moms? Do you like to work for moms with multiples? Like, what is your niche client? You want to figure that out, and then you do a marketing strategy from there. And those are some of the things that we talk about on Sunday, because you want to be very clear on that. So again, you can have robust systems working in the background, and you can just focus on doing you as a doula.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anything else? Is the chat recorded? Yeah, Tasha, you're already a founding member, love. That the recording is in the community. So you already get that. Oh, okay. I have not been shy, y'all. It's 28 other messages. Okay, sorry. Let me go down. Maybe off topic, but how do you mark it? Okay, yep. There's less awareness about doulas in India. Shabari, are you still on? Did you hop off?
Yeah, hi, I'm there.
Hi, you're back. I love it.
Yeah, hi, yeah.
So what's the doula world like for you then in India? How did you become a doula, or you get awareness of it too?
Because I was doing childbirth education classes, and so like even like after doing childbirth education, also practicing all the comfort measures and everything, the moms used to land up having cesareans. So then I just thought to myself, like if I can be a doula and I can help them out during that situation, that would be really great. So yeah, that's how I became a doula. But there is very less awareness. Basically, in India, I don't know how it's in US, but in India, everybody feels that doctors are gods.
Really? Yeah.
So yeah, so they believe completely in their doctors, and there is, as I said, there is very less awareness about doulas. Even after doing childbirth education classes, if we talk about doulas, if we tell them that we are doulas, we can help you out, and the rates over here are very reasonable for doulas. So it's not that high as in the US. But still, people do not feel comfortable. I really don't know why, because everyone feels that their family knows most of the things, and there are so many misconceptions in the family also.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So it's
I know that.
yeah, so it's really very hard in India. So
is it? So two things that I would just recommend, we can talk about it offline too, for sure, is do you have any doctors in your network that believe in the power and the value of doulas?
Hardly one or two.
One or two. Well, I was going to say, work it with those one or two. If you can partner with them, offer a class at their doctor office or anything like that, like really, really try to work with them, because it may be a situation of it just takes time. That's some of the places here in the United States. Some doulas that I coach, they don't have, there's not another doula for like 50 miles, they just don't have them in their area. And then there's some doulas like here in Maryland, DC, Virginia area, there's quite a few of us, right? So it's just a matter of communicating and coaching and taking time and just putting the word out there. So I would definitely start with trying to work with those doctors, and if they consider you as a valued person while they're there at the doctor's office, or you're a soft referral, that can help. The other part is, I would say, if you can't scale the ocean, do it all at once, right? So I would recommend, let's see what your niche is. What kind of moms can you reach out to? Because they may say, yeah, my doctor knows everything, and then my family can help with everything. But are you maybe moms with medical conditions? Maybe that's your niche. Or maybe moms that that are dealing with children that have medical conditions, you know, that maybe, like my daughter was a preemie, and we had a whole host of things that we had to deal with when we came home that we were not expecting, and I didn't want to quote unquote burden or put my family out by trying to have them help all the time. So maybe adoption moms, or maybe moms that are dealing with fertility. So it just, I would say, if you can't focus on everybody, try to figure out what niche you can work on, and then try to make headway in that niche. Even if you partner with adoption associations in your area or something, you know, just try to niche it down.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure, follow with me and let me know if you need anything else. I have a coaching program that opens in June, but it's full right now. But if somebody really wants to get some coaching and help, then let me know. It is full, but I can maybe squeeze in another person. Any other questions? Thank you for joining again, Joe. I'm sorry. Thank you. Hospital area. Anybody want to call anything else out? If not, I'll go through these messages. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yep, Juju, there's playback on the video, but the video is in the community. So you have to be a part of the community. I have a big list to do now. Oh, Karen, you said you have a big list. Kelly said it's definitely helpful. Karen said bye. Oh, Lisa, you said is the Sunday meeting local in the DMV area or online? So Sunday is the training. It's the doula practice training. Business intensive. That's Sunday. The DMV area, the meetup that I do, it usually is in person. But I think I want to set one up that's going to just be virtual soon. Shanta, you want to discuss package building? Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, Jugo, thank you so much. Thank you. Angelica, okay, she went last week. Okay, awesome. All right, y'all, I got a couple messages I'm going through here, so bear with me or just call it out. If you need to hop off, I can certainly end. I just want to, if there's anybody that needs something that I need to chat with right now, call it out. If not, I'm going to sign off so I can follow up with folks one-off. Oh, Ansley, you say love this group. Thank you. I love that y'all are getting out of it what I am hoping, which is that we just have an opportunity to share and connect. Thank you.
Oh, can you hear me? I'm so sorry.
Hey, Jody. Hi, yeah.
All right, I'm a little new to Zoom, so I'm trying to figure out how this works.
Good.
So you talk about, and I've heard this a lot from other doulas when I'm looking for marketing tips, because I'm struggling with marketing both virtually and in person. When told to talk with other physicians, doulas, midwives, and whatnot, as far as marketing or getting my name out there, I'm not exactly sure what to say or how to approach them in the conversation. Like, how do you just call up a doctor's office and tell them what you do, or how does this work?
So I'm a little tainted because I healthcare administration is what I do, right? So I have a not cynical, but very straightforward approach to it. I was one that, as you know, as I was administrator, when I had folks come in saying they had to pitch or they wanted to sell me something, even to a pharmaceutical rep or anything like that, I ran the other way. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't have time for it. So I come from a perspective of you need to do it, but you need to do it well. It needs to be short and it needs to be sweet. So yes, I definitely think it is doable. Collaboration is almost a necessity depending on your area that you're in. But when you do it, and if you put in the chat, just remind me that you were looking into marketing and how to pitch with others, then I will send out to you. I have a proposal template that I use, and I use with my coaching clients that it's just an outline for information. You want to make it quick. You want to make it, it's an outline. It goes into your background, your services, and your partnership, what that would look like, what they would get from it, very, very quick. So to answer your question, very short. we might need to talk a little bit more about marketing in one of our other chats. But to answer your question very, very quickly, yes, you definitely want to market. You want to do a pop-up with your information when you can, of course, not pandemic. And you want to also email it off of their website, because their administrator probably will be able to get that email. And you want to attach your information with it. You want to email it before you go, because if they don't take your paperwork, you can say, well, on such and such day, I emailed it, so it's already in your files. If so we'll pull it up or whatever. You want to also see if they have any sort of events. A lot of the doctors in their areas will have like mommy night or some other event. Go to those events, get to know them, and then figure out who is the administrator, because the administrator is going to be the one who's going to be making those decisions as to who they partner with and what are their suite of services and their packages. Even if you can host an event at that location, that's the administrator's choice. Many hospitals and many providers, if you they have more than one location, so you may want to go figure out where is that main location where the administrator sits, and you have that conversation with them there. If you can figure out who that is, or sometimes you can call and they can give you the name over the phone. They can ask for a few minutes of their time. They may have some time blocked off on a weekly basis where they will listen to your pitch. I would say 30 minutes in and out. Be prepared to get your message across in 15 minutes, but 30 minutes in and out. But if you can, that's a good day if you get that far. The very first thing you want to do is show up at any events they have, email your proposal to them, follow up in person, and just try to be a fly on the wall for any events and get to know them and find out who it is.
So I'm not very clear. I'm sorry. Should I start out with an email? Is that the best way to?
Start out with putting your package together. So do your research, understand who is their clientele, understand what their peaks are, what their needs are for their clientele. So if they don't have, if you did lactation, if they didn't have already, so you do your research on their website, find out what kind of staffing they have. If they don't have anybody that does lactation consultant, then your pitch, that your email that you will put together your proposal, which you'll be emailing them, is to how you can help them fulfill that gap and what that would look like, what kind of timing you would give to them, what kind of service you would give to them, what kind of cost structure you would give to them, show how it is beneficial to them. So you do your research to understand who they are, what their needs are, who their clients are, and then you put it together in a proposal, and you would email that proposal. And then within that same day or within a day or two, show up. So this is in a regular world, right? Show up with your proposal and your package and to deliver it. If you can, get a time on that administrator's calendar so you can go and you can have that conversation with them. But I'm just saying, many times administrators aren't interested. I was one of them. I'm not interested in having that conversation. But if I got your email and I scanned it quickly and it was intriguing, I would follow up with you and then have you come in. But I'm not going to sit there and give somebody 30 minutes of my time if I don't know what they're going to talk about.
That's what I was worried.
Yeah, which is why I say email it beforehand. So those are the types of things that I work with. Okay, so yeah, I can send out that template, that proposal. Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So those are just great question. And it's not easy. And you want to have the documentation, but you also want to have the quick spiel, the quick conversation. You want to make sure you hit those points. So it takes practice, but you're right, Jody. It's definitely something that it works, and you want to do it often. Okay, as you saying that, so all right, great. Yeah, so yeah, I can send a copy of the proposal out to the folks that are interested in that. But just remember, the proposal is only one piece. Your presentation is the other part, so you want to make sure you have the full package. Yeah, I can send that out. Awesome. Okay, so I will do that. So reminder, next week. No, we're over 24 minutes. So next week, we're going to talk about interviews and the information that you need to be sharing with your clients. If you're interested in the business course, this Sunday is an intensive course. We go through a lot, but it's very detailed. Let me know. If you're interested in being a founding member of the community, let me know that, and I can set you up with that. Couple questions. Yeah, I do coaching. That's a 3-month coaching program, and in the 3-month coaching program, it's literally from beginning to end. So if you're starting your doula business or you're totally revamping your doula business, within 3 months, you're good to go. Shaniqua, this is my first one. Should have taken more notes. No, you don't have to take more notes, Shaniqua. I send this out. All the material, the PowerPoint that I go over, I send that out to everybody. Yeah, but the recording is in the community, in the subscription community. Yeah. All right. Well, I am so honored that you all came and spent some time with me today, and many of you stayed over. I am so appreciative of that. In the comments, if you have any other suggestions as to other things we need to talk about, I definitely think I like Jody's idea. We probably need to revisit marketing a little bit more and collaboration. So if there's anything else you think we need to talk about, let me know. Put it in the chat. But I appreciate you all. I love being a doula, and I love this space, and I love helping and mentoring and just bringing folks together. And that was my goal and intention of this community. So please continue to share, and let me know. Share with others that you doulas that you think this would be helpful for in this space, and share ideas, because this is our community. This chat, the Friday chats at 12 are totally for us, and it's totally open. Welcome for all. The community is open as well too. That is subscription based. Thank you all. See you all next Friday, and email me, reach out to me if you think you need to have a one-off conversation before then. But see you all next Friday.